Hello, I'm Bliznub, and welcome to Building the Best. Today we're going to be looking at Rhino Prime, and we're going to be looking at a bit of a balanced build, because I've been wondering about how to do Rhino for a while now. He is definitely one of Warframe's favourite all-round frames for doing a little bit of everything while staying very survivable. Staying very survivable? You know what I mean, retaining a lot of survivability. Now, what I generally run with Rhino is this, a pure power strength build sacrificing absolutely everything to get as much power strength as possible. And the reason being is that I, for some strange reason, record a lot and like to have the best iron skin which is possible, which, well, excluding the fact that I am wearing an Arcane Vanguard helmet for ease of use. And we get about 8,000 ferrite armor, but the rest of the abilities here are sacrificed massively for this build, so I cannot in good conscience recommend it, although it's what I will personally run, because I like to record a lot, as I've said, without getting staggered and knocked over all the time. So what I've actually gone for is a balanced build, looking at Rhino's other aspects, his most important aspects, because Rhino Charge isn't too useful, but Rhino's Roar and Stomp are incredibly powerful abilities. So I came up with... Is this the page? I feel like this is the page. It looks like the page, because this is not the page. Okay, there we go. And I came up with this build, which is a little bit more balanced, sacrificing mostly range. And what we get here is a lot of power strength with a max blind rage, intensify, and power drift. We have a amount of efficiency with fleeting expertise and streamline. Obviously blind rage cuts into the amount of efficiency we're getting quite a lot, but 135% is still nothing to be sniffed at. And then we have narrow-minded, primed continuity for duration, and finally stretch over here to get our range back up a bit. And lastly, steel fiber actually plays a role in the abilities. This isn't just for survivability, or else I would have most definitely gone with vitality. And Steel Charge obviously is just, the aura slot that fits. Steel Charge or Rifle Amp, whichever you prefer using. So, Steel Fiber actually is important in this because armor is taken into account for Iron Skin. So what we get in this build is... Whoa, that's not the one, that's the one! Only 6,000 ferrite armor, losing 2,000 from my other page, but what we have is a nearly 60-second roar, nearly a minute of roar that will multiply all damage by 2.16 times, which is massive. And this is all damage except all damage from all abilities, but it does not provide a flat buff to power strength. That should be noted. You can't roar and then iron skin for a doubled up iron skin. Doesn't quite work like that. You just buff any potential damage output, which in theory means that if you have iron shrapnel on and you explode your iron skin, it will do twice as much damage. But anyhow. And we then have Rhino Stomp, which honestly isn't that great as a damage ability. We're only seeing 1800 damage here, which isn't fantastic. But what we do have is a large AoE, stun, and slow. So we have a 20-meter range here, which we managed to just about get, even though we're only sitting on, 79% power range. That's the wrong one. That's also the wrong one. There we go. Wow. And we're getting about 15-second duration, which I think is a decent enough duration that, for instance, if your ally gets downed, you can run in, stomp, and everything within a threatening distance will be in stasis for long enough to get the ally back up on their feet. And anything that isn't, well, you still have your iron skin to fall back on. But we really do want the Stomp to be mostly a crowd control ability, so I try to get the best balance of duration to range, but it's fair to say that the base duration on Stomp is pretty poor, and it's hard to build that up, because we have a 194% duration out of, I believe the max is 282, and we're still only seeing 15.5 seconds. So, yeah, went for the best balance I could, but basically what we have here is a damage build Rhino with a little bit of range, a little bit of duration, and all in all, this is probably what most people would refer to as a raw Rhino build. Comes in incredibly useful on Draco, defenses generally, even survivals. Comes in very handy, but frankly, the ability to keep your Rhino Stomp's range high and your duration good comes in incredibly useful as well. Anyhow, I've talked about this build far too much, trying to explain why I went for a weird-looking page. So let's go try this thing out. Now, unfortunately, today's sortie does have a bit of fog on it, but hopefully you should still be able to see what's going on just fine. After all, the moment I hit 2, I'm going to be glowing gold. Which, that's not ostentatious at all. But hey-ho. I've got to say, I do prefer Rhino as regular Rhino as far as cosmetics go, and it doesn't make too much difference to the build, except that Rhino Prime has higher base sprint speed and armor. The sprint speed comes in especially valuable when you consider that Arcane Vanguard buffs up Rhino's sprint speed to, well, where you can run around with him without feeling like you have lead weights on your heels. And the armor obviously makes a big difference given that Iron Skin scales off it. And these guys are not going to come down, are they? They are not coming down. I was really hopeful. Yeah. Okay, let's drop some energy. Now then, what we have here is this guy. As my dear friend Mr. Odin would say, the power of Rhino's thighs has stopped time momentarily for this Hellion. And he is, let me just catch the final pulse of this, and he is stunned. Stunned by the pure force of Rhino's thighs. And it is a fun way of looking at things, obviously, but you can see how much damage that actually did to him. And if I roar and then stamp again, it's done quite a lot more, as you can see. So it's difficult to demonstrate, obviously, on sortie level enemies. I don't really want to be flailing around my weapons to kill these guys, and Rhino isn't a damage-dealing frame anymore. But you can definitely see how useful this comes in. And that these two Hellions are taking their sweet time to burn through my Iron Skin is also quite a nice touch. Although, on that note, I will actually say, if you are going to be playing Rhino, it's risky, but the first 3 seconds of Rhino's Iron Skin, he is actually invulnerable, and any damage he takes gets absorbed into his Iron Skin. So people will often use tactics such as standing in front of a void laser, or intentionally letting a Grineer Bombard shoot them moments before they Iron Skin. Simply so that as that bombard hits them, they can hit the button really quickly and get a massive buff to the health of their Iron Skin. And it is an odd tactic, because if you think about it, all you're really doing is increasing your Iron Skin by 1 bombard's shot. And the next time a bombard shoots you, you will lose exactly that much. So is it really worth going out of your way? And I can say it is when it comes to things like standing in front of void lasers. It's definitely incredibly useful to do that. But as far as letting enemies shoot you to buff up your Iron Skin, not really. Can't really recommend it. Please hit me. There we go. Can't really recommend it. Please shoot at me. Delightful. So we can see in the top right, that little number that appeared. Unfortunately, I only got 640, but that was the bonus armor we got. And as you can see, from trying to arrange that, I took quite a bit of health and shield damage. And I would say that is not really worth my time to do. This, however, is hilariously worth my time to do. Let me just roar and then mow these guys down with the new and improved Attica. Oh, sorry, the Zhuge. The Zhuge. Video on that will be coming soon, by the way. This thing is crazy fun. But anyhow, that's really all I have to say. I hope that the fog hasn't been too intrusive, and I hope that you can see just how much potential Rhino has as a crazy team support player. He is definitely a support player now. The ability to make himself nigh on invincible with his Iron Skin is useful for if you're focusing on your weapons, obviously, but the ability to stun enemies and buff allies is incredibly powerful, especially considering nowadays his playstyle of taking massive damage dealers and buffing them to be godly. Anyhow, I hope this has been informative. As always, thank you very much for watching. Words? What? I was doing so well. God damn. As I was going to say, thank you very much for watching. Please like and comment below and subscribe if you want to see more. I'm Bliznub, and this is, of course, Rhino Prime. Alright, I nearly forgot to say, I've just passed 5,000 subs and 500,000 views on my channel, and that is just, how even? That is so amazing. So thank you guys so much for making that happen. I seriously never thought I would reach that. That is ridiculous. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for that. I'm going to be putting out loads more content. So yeah, subscribe if you haven't. It's going to get crazy up in here. Thank you guys so much for watching and making this absolute insanity a reality.